Hey guys, Kelade here. Welcome to my Mythic Vexiona kill / commentary video. A bit of a late one, but better late than never. For this fight, we are just going to be charging with all of our cooldowns. You are going to notice that I'm not actually using Siegebreaker because I don't have it talented for this fight. I am using Endless Rage, Double Time, Fear Slash, Warpaint, Carnage, Dragon Roar, and Anger Management. This is mainly because we have too much as passive AoE and that Void Ascendant thing keeps dying. So my focus, I think, on this fight is actually just doing as much single target damage as I can, especially because we have 3 fire mages, so the ads are actually going to get blasted even without us. But of course, if you guys are going for like that meme AoE parse, right, you should probably do Sudden Death and Siegebreaker. That way you can AoE on the ads as much as you can. You should also probably use Twilight Devastation. I'm also not using that here, but those are things that you can do, especially like as you get later into the tier, as it's not as important to have the Void Ascendant alive to kill these ads. That's something you can do, but right now our strategy does involve using the Void Ascendant for a lot of the killing, so we don't want to AoE too hard. So a lot of the focus you guys will see right here is just single target on the boss. And that's also why I do have Anger Management, because Vexiona basically flies in the air, I think between like 110 and 115 seconds into the fight, which means if you take Siegebreaker, you can only use Recklessness on her once before she flies up, and then you're running around on the bottom the whole time while your Recklessness is on cooldown or off cooldown. So if you use Anger Management, you can use Recklessness on her twice before she flies up, and then, you know, as she's flying around, you can have it being on cooldown the entire time, which is always feels good, right? You always want to do a transition phase while your biggest cooldowns are, you know, not ready to be used, because then you get more value out of just not doing anything. So right here, when she hits that, you know, when her energy bar fills up, she flies in the air, and then all you have to do is everybody just needs to like bait where her next breath is going to be. So she's just going to pick a target, and wherever like the 3 lanes that they are, she's going to do a breath on. So what you do is you stand in there for this one like we are now, you get her to bait it, and then you go all the way across, get her to bait it. The reason why you debate it that way is because when she breathes her like current breath, the next breath doesn't disappear right away. So that's why you want to do the 2 further lanes. So right here for this pull dropping, right, just get as far as you can, leap back in, great. If she was actually downstairs, I would have just like leaped out and charged back in, but since there was anything for us to hit anyways, might as well walk out as far as you can with it. And that's kind of like the name of the game, right? Especially like if you are killing this boss for the first time, is you do want to make sure you're keeping aware for space. But there actually is a lot of space, so you don't have to like, you know, kill yourself for it, but just try to make your spots as nice as you can, since you do have Heroic Leap. So you can make some pretty nice like placements with yours, because you can go pretty far with it. Now after like the first initial phase, like you can feel free to AoE all the ads. The Void Ascent doesn't matter as much, especially for this next set of ads. You can kind of just AoE down with everybody else. So this part of the phase is just an extension of the first phase, I guess. There's not really anything else new here. Just DPSing these guys as you can. Luckily they came out as all of our cooldowns are up, so it's like kind of perfect timing for us. The only thing I guess would be for these ads, just making sure that you have like some type of CC. Mass grips are really good when they start you know, running out. You just Morphine squares them all in together and they stop doing their little AoE thing. And yeah, that's it for this part of the fight. And then once the boss's energy go back up again, we'll do the running around phase again. And then this one, generally we always kind of push this ad or boss whenever these ads spawn. So what we do is we go to the front if the ads are in the front, and we go to the back if the ads are in the back. It doesn't really matter like which one you start off with, as long as you always just kind of use the 2, you know, sides, right? And you can see my weak order saying dodge. That just means she's picked a lane. I don't know if I look up here, but so she's gonna fly up behind us, and you can always turn around and look at her and just make sure that she's in a lane. But the instant that basically the dodge wicker comes up, she's already picked the lane. Like when she's up in the air and she's picking the lanes, the instant she like even looks and turns towards another lane, that means she has already made her choice, and you can just start moving at that point too. And then of course, whenever like I can on these Void Ascendants, even though we're not like hard DPSing it, since I am using Furious Last, I'm just making sure I'm using it to get my stacks up. She falls down. All right, just hitting her as much as you can. And then once she, I want to say it's 40% is when we push. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. Like when you hit 40%, she goes into the last phase and everything changes. So we do get this next set of ads, which doesn't really matter as much because we have that Ascendant running and he's beaming them. But we're just gonna AoE them down anyways. Right? Yeah. And then also once she hits 40%, which is when she enters this last phase, or she does like a little RP before she does it. This is also one way less, just to make sure we get her down as fast as we can. Mainly because this fight is when the damage starts ramping up, like that dot you see, that one dot, that's going to keep going up. Also, in the mythic version of this fight in the last phase, there's like another version of Vexiona that flies above us. So the thing that we were doing during the transition phase, where we were moving left and right, that happens during the course of this entire phase. So we just, for this one, we don't have to go all the way out to, you know, the two outer edges. The previous pool does disappear pretty quickly. Right here, there's a melee soak, but I also have a drop pool, so I'm trying to get as close as I can for the melee soak and walk out for the melee pool, but I got slowed for my corruption, so dropped it kind of close, but not a big deal, because ideally, nobody should be standing over there anyways. And then that's the thing for melee pool drops. Like in this phase of the fight, you actually start dropping it along that wall that I just dropped it. Obviously, it'd been nicer if it was like perfect on the wall. Mainly because there's not room behind you, like because the range are back over there, and they're going to be dropping their stuff next to them or like on the staircase even. For melee, on the wall on the left side is pretty good, because you don't want to go too far in front. Like that front corner you see up there in the left side, you don't really want to go there, because sometimes the tanks will phase the boss in that corner, and if you get breath on, you're basically dead. And then for a lot of these phases, these Heart Darkness, as you guys see in this fight, like just kind of look at like our movements in our Heart Darkness, it'll always come out in that order, right? Like for example, that Heart Darkness came out at the same time as the breath, and it's always that way. And then once you get that down, you'll have a better idea of like how you want to dodge and stuff. Like the movement that we just did, if you're baiting it correctly and everybody is doing the movement, it's always the same for that phase. So it's a very coordinated dance at that point. And then once you get that movement down, the boss is pretty easy to kill. But yeah, that's it for Mythic Vexiona. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Feel free to subscribe to see more. See ya.